How's everybody doing today? Hope you had a blessed week. Looking forward to another beautiful week here. So today I'm going to talk about specifically if you've been trying to overcome or achieve something and you've been struggling to do so and it's just been taxing on you to overcome this problem. Might be some pain, might be anxiety, might be depression, could be any problem that you're facing. Could be a relationship issue. But if you're struggling to overcome or achieve something, you don't have to. There's nothing in this world that we have to struggle to overcome or achieve. Never. Why is that? Because there's a move that we can make that will make everything easier. And so life is like a game of chess. And so if you're losing at the game of chess, that means there's a move that you could make that would make the game easier and you'd be able to win. But if you can't see that move, you don't know that it's there, and you're just going to struggle and you're ultimately going to lose. And so, same thing applies to the game of life. If you're struggling, there's a move that you can make you do not see. That once you make that move, everything becomes instantly easier. And so this was for me, once I figured out how to overcome depression, and I suffered with depression for over 10 years, it became easy to overcome. You know, after 10 years of depression, I was free within 3 months. Same with pain. I was struggling over 15 years of chronic pain. Been to every single type of doctor, and they said nothing was wrong with me. And so I tried every type of therapy. Same goes for the anxiety, same goes for the ADHD. But once I found the move that I could make, all those problems went away within months' time. After almost 2 decades of searching. So this is how I'm able to help people who've had problems for a lifetime, that are struggling. They're struggling where they're at in life and what they're dealing with, and they've been trying all the different types of therapies, most of them traditional, others non-traditional, yet they still struggle. It's because once you find the method and the move that you're supposed to make for the situation that you're dealing with, then you can become free. And that's what I help people do, is I help people become free. And you don't necessarily need my help to do it. This is something that you can do. But this requires a good connection to yourself. Beautiful view. And so if you don't have that connection to yourself, this is not something you can transcend. Because our body is always talking to us. Our inner self, our soul, our intuition is always speaking. But if the signals externally from the environment or from your mind are louder than the internal signals from your body and your intuition, you're not going to be able to hear anything. And you're not going to be able to take the actions and the moves that'll make everything easier. Because we're always receiving that guidance. And so For a long time, I couldn't stop my mind. I was always an overthinker, and sometimes it'll hit me every once in a while if I go out of balance. And so, if we're not connected, we can't find what to do next. We can't find that special move that'll make everything easier. And that's the key in this journey is becoming your own guru, your own master, your own leader. Because you know you. You know all your problems. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. And so it's up to you to be able to connect yourself so that you can reach these new heights. You can solve these problems that you're dealing with. And that's the solution to all this. And so you can guide yourself back home to your inner self. And that's where you can find all the answers. All the answers that you're seeking for are within. What you're seeking for externally, you can find it through yourself. Anything. But it takes a deep connection to yourself. You have to go within. And this is something that you develop through the practice of breath work, through the practice of meditation. Because once you still those external signals from the environment, and then you still the internal signals from your mind, that's when the answers are going to come. So if you're dealing with some problem that you've been dealing with for over 3 months or years, it's time to do something different. And so a lot of those problems, pretty much all of them, from what I've seen from myself and dealing with so many different people with so many different problems, is the root of all those problems are emotional. And so our emotional problems end up casting into our physical body if they remain persisted for much time. And so the key in this is to realize that all those emotional problems start to build up over time. And so if you have pain in your body, pain, if it's from an emotional source, is just a buildup of these emotions over time. And so a lot of that is released through meditation, through breath work. But there's also other causes as well from our mind. There's a lot of root causes from problems that we're dealing with in our life that are from our mind, that are from our way of thinking. And so if we're able to still the chaos of our mind, a lot of these problems will just disappear. Because whatever we focus on grows. Whatever we water grows. And so that's the trick. What are you giving energy to? Are you giving energy to calmness, to stillness, to peace, to joy, to love? Or are you giving energy to problems? And so that was one of the key realizations that I had, was I was giving energy to my problems, to my pain, to my depression, to my anxiety. And so once I stopped doing that, that's when I was able to become free. Once I stopped feeding those problems, once I was able to connect to myself, to find what moves to take from my intuition and act on my intuition on what actions I needed to take, that's when I became free. And Once you really start connecting to yourself, the path becomes so much easier and you don't have to struggle. You don't have to suffer. Life becomes that of flow because we can row our way to a destination or we can sail